Alright, so in this tutorial we are going to go over absolute value equations. Now in some textbook you'll find it is written as what? Modulus. So basically what do we mean by absolute value equations, or what is meant by modulus? So a modulus represents the absolute positive magnitude of a real or complex what? Numbers. So it represents the absolute positive magnitudes of a what? Of a real number, or we can say or of a real or complex what? Numbers. So a modulus represents the absolute positive magnitude of a real or complex what? Numbers. So now, what do we mean by this? So absolute value of a modulus is defined in terms of what? It is defined in terms of a positive number. What do we mean? What we mean is that absolute value can never be what? Negative. For example, if we say the absolute value of x representing any number, so now to show that this is an absolute value, we use this symbol here. So absolute value of x is what? According to this statement here, is simply what? X. And in this case, it is where x is greater than or equal to 0. What about the modulus or the absolute value of a negative number? Let's say the absolute value of -5. So the absolute value of -5 is what? Is simply what? 5. Why? Because -5 is less than what? Is less than 0. And what is the absolute value of 0? So the absolute value of 0 is simply what? 0. Why? Because 0 is equal to what? Is equal to 0. Now, sometimes we may be given these expressions in terms of what? An equation. So now, how do we get to work out an expression, a modulus expression, given in terms of in form of an equation? How do we get to figure out answers to such questions? So now there we go. Suppose we have an equation ax plus b is equal to what? Is equal to c. Suppose this is an equation that we have been given. Now here's the thing. Whenever you are given an absolute value equation, it has there are 3 possible solutions to such equations. So in this case, if this is our equation, we have to bear in mind that it has 3 possible solutions. What do we mean? This is what we mean. The solution to this expression, this expression actually has 2 solutions. The first possible solution is that ax plus b must be equal to what? C. Or ax plus b must be equal to what? Negative what? C. These are the two possible solutions that we can get from this expression. Now, depending on the value of C, remember, these letters basically represent what? They may be replaced with numbers. Now, depending on the value of C, C can be any number. Now, suppose this C is equal to 0. What does it tell us? Well, it implies that that particular equation has what? Has only what? Has only one solution. If the value of C is equal to 0, it implies that that particular equation only has one solution. Now, what if the value of C, suppose we say C is less than 0, maybe it is a negative number, or any number less than 0. Of course, that is basically a negative number. So it implies that that particular equation has what? Has no solution. So whenever you come across a modulus equation where C is less than 0, just know that there is no solution to that particular what? Equation. So don't even waste your time to start solving. Basically there is no solution. Now let's look at some examples and see how we can apply this concept. So let us look at examples. So suppose we are given, so you can check out more examples from textbooks, but suppose we are given this expression. Let's say x plus 2, the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to what? 4. Now the instruction says solve the following absolute value what? Equation. So we want to solve this particular equation. Do you still remember the concept that we introduced in the introduction? So when you are given this particular equation, you look at the value of what? C. So now in this case, C is represented by what? 4. So what can we say? So it implies that this particular equation has two possible solutions. So the first one, x plus 2 is equal to 4, or x plus 2 is equal to negative 4. So now our job here is just to work out the value of what? X. So here we can see that 2 is going to go on the other side. It implies that 4 is going to subtract what? 2. And so x is equal to 2. Or when 2 goes to the other side, you are going to have negative 4 minus 2, which is what? X is negative what? 6. And nothing else. Let us look at another example. Let's say we are given the absolute value of 3x is equal to what? 9. How do we get to simplify or to work out this particular equation? So the same concept applies. So the first step, just to move the absolute value sign here and say 3x is equal to what? 9, or 3x is equal to negative 9. And so to work out the value of x, we simply divide both sides by 3, and x is equal to what? 3. Or same applies here, we work out the value of x, X is going to give us what? Negative 3. Now, let us look at this. Let us look at something that is seemingly complicated, but it's not the case. Suppose we are given this expression or this equation, 8 plus 3, then we have x plus 2 is equal to, or maybe say 6. Right, so how do we get to work out this one? All right, so feel free to work it out, or to pause the video and work it out, and then you can resume it thereafter. So now, here the first thing is, let us group the like terms, so to speak. So we are going to have 3, and then the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 6. So we're taking this 8 to the other side. So we have what? We basically have 8 here. And so what is 6 minus 8? That is basically what? A negative of 2, negative 2. And now here, we can leave the absolute value expression on one side. So we can simply divide both sides by what? By 3, in order to leave this expression alone here. And so if we divide here by 3, also here by 3, we can see that this 3 and this 3 cancels out, and what is going to remain is the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to what? Negative 2 over what? 3. Now what can we see here? We see that this absolute value is giving us what? Negative 2 over 3. And what is negative 2 over 3? Negative 2 over 3, when you divide this, is going to give you something like negative 0 point something. So it implies that that particular value we are going to find is less than 0. And what does the rule state? If our absolute value is less than 0, then what? There is what? No solution. There is no solution. Wherever you find the absolute value is giving you a negative number, just know that it implies that that value is less than 0, and there is no solution to that particular what? Equation. Now let's look at this last example. We have, let's say, maybe we have negative 4 plus, let's say 5x here. We have 5x. The absolute value is giving us what? 16. So feel free to work out this equation and drop your answer in the comment section.